I'm Ian Rainey, and I'm Managing Director of MSL Search and Selection. I think the industry has changed dramatically in the last year. We've gone through a major recession. Not only have we seen businesses stop recruiting, this has had a serious impact on the recruitment sector because the business hasn't been there. We've had a recession, which is probably the worst since 1929, so businesses have just not been employing people. That's had a major impact on the industry. It's a bit like the financial crisis we've just gone through. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, you know. But the smart boys in the industry now are out there trying to identify the best people who are available, and they'll be the ones to survive. So the game has changed, but it is moving ahead. I think so. The model has changed. You know, we are looking at a completely different marketplace. The Far East is probably the greatest player in the game at the moment. It's no longer America, and we're going to have to change with it, and the smart companies are going to have to change if they're going to lead the pack again. I think they're probably threefold. First of all, that the end of the financial year at the 31st of March have seen companies been able to take all their pain and take all the lumps and put them into the 2009, 2010 accounts. And then at the same time, we just had the elections, and people have been waiting for those to get over. And also I think people are more certain now that the world is going to survive this recession. So I think those are the 3 factors that are driving that. I think what we're seeing is a major change around in the world economies. The major players are now the Far East, China and India, and probably Brazil. In the past it used to be America and Europe. So there is a major change around, and we have to adjust to it. Well, I think the market has been going ahead considerably over the last 12 months. It's gone up something like 20%, but the last few weeks, unfortunately, with the crisis in the euro, and then with the problems we've had in Thailand and more recently in South Korea, the market has been dropping, but I think it's probably only dropped 10%, and I think we've seen the worst of it, so I think the market is on the way back again. I think the key thing is to identify a recruitment consultant who knows your industry, but more important, who also knows people and knows where to find them. I think the key point is that you have to have the confidence that that individual is able to convince the best people that it is time to change and that your company is the right one to move into. I think that's key. I think candidates have to be ready now to make a change. There has been a tremendous change in the marketplace. You have to be able to look at yourself now and say, am I with the right company at the moment? Am I on the fastest horse? And maybe you're not, and maybe it's time to look at it, and certainly come and talk to people like us, and we can probably help you on that score. My first job was my first real job was in South Africa, where I was a legal advisor with one of the subsidiaries of De Beers and Anglo American. I was fortunate enough to have good friend Sid Miller, the manager of the British Lions team, introduced me to that company through one of his players that played down there, and he took me in as it were, and said, right, we need a lawyer in our company called African Explosives and Chemical Industries, which was the biggest explosives manufacturer in the world. And I was pushed in there, and that's where it all started. And that was my first job, and it was just a most exciting place to work, having moved out of Northern Ireland and the troubles to move into a country which was really pushing ahead. That was very, very exciting. Well, after South Africa, I was given the opportunity to go to the States. The bank I was with in South Africa sent me to the Wharton School of Finance, which is one of the top business schools in the States. When I was there, one of the American banks asked me to join them, and I joined them and stayed with them for 14 years. They sent me to the Far East initially to handle Philippines, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand and Indonesia. And then I was brought back to the United States for 3 years and working on the domestic side of the bank, lending to major American corporations. And then they sent me to London to manage our operations in Europe and the UK, as well as be an executive director of our merchant bank and a director of another bank in Dublin as well. If you are an employer, I would ask you to get in touch with me, Ian Rainey, at MSL on our website, www.msl-ni.com, and we'd only be too happy to talk to you about the type of candidates we have in our database, having got the opportunity to understand your company.